excite you. It could be the arts, sciences, sports, theater, activism, or all of them. But interests shift in life, and be open to embracing new ones. People mature at different stages. So don't worry if you don't know what you want to do in life by the age of 18. One of Nepal's top scholars, Sardar Yadunath Khanal, began his life learning Sanskrit. He even published a collection of poems in that language called Sukti Sanchay. He later became a seasoned diplomat who disentangled Nepal from its complicated relations with the big powers, as ambassador to India, as ambassador to China, and the United States. By straddling Kautilya to Kissinger, he led a rich, fulfilling public life because of his versatile talents, honed one phase at a time. But to pursue your passions, you might have to beat societal norms and expectations and assure your family that you have planned for contingencies. At the age of 17, I decided to study economics. My parents were terrified that I would end up joining a local state college and then go on to have a lousy career. But I had good teachers, and my contingency was that we had arranged a corporate sponsorship to study in India if my plans to study in Europe or America failed. Number two, always aim to enter the best institutions, but know that this is neither necessary nor sufficient to do well in life. I will tell you about an episode that at the time felt like a huge failure. After my high school, I desperately wanted to go to the University of Oxford in England, at a particular college called Magdalen, which was, it held a particular fascination with me at the time. It was founded in the year 1458 and had produced graduates like Oscar Wilde, C.S. Lewis, and very famous people. And 1458, mind you, was the time when Yakshay Malla ruled an undivided Kathmandu Valley. I received a warm response from a professor at Magdalen College, but was nonetheless rejected. But in 1999, when I won a full scholarship for a master's degree at Oxford, I was in a position to reject it. Academic brands have value because there is great joy in mingling with the best. You'd rather be a small fish in a big pond than a big fish in a small pond. But to be selected and thrive at work, the logo of a college is never enough. In the long run, it is a curious mix of individual competence and serendipity that matters. Of the 14 US presidents, for example, since the Second World War, 7 have degrees from Harvard or Yale, but the other 7 do not, including Reagan and Nixon, who graduated from places very few people have heard of. President Truman never completed college. So when people ask if going to a top school makes you smart, I say it is probably the other way around. Smart people happen to go to top schools. Number 3, read voraciously, write prolifically, and travel widely. Nothing beats the confidence you acquire from broad exposure. Travel to new places, read a lot, and synthesize what you learn. Develop an early discipline for reading about things not necessarily required as part of your coursework. My own passions are in economics, history, politics, and literature. But I often pick up books in the physical sciences. One of my favorite anecdotes comes from a book that I randomly skimmed. Once the British mathematician G.H. Hardy went to visit the great Indian mathematician Srinivas Ramanujan in a taxi with the number 1729. Hardy grumbled that the number was dull and maybe even a bad omen. Ramanujan, who was lying sick, immediately replied, "No, 1729 is very interesting. It is the smallest number expressible as the sum of 2 positive cubes in 2 different ways." This offers a glimpse into the minds of a genius and his humor. It makes you want to be better than you are now. This kind of inspiration can only come from reading. And reading more makes you a better writer and communicator. Number 4, don't be too selective in your early adulthood. All experiences add up, but do specialize eventually. Acquire as many skills as possible, whether it is to crunch large volumes of data, or write a skilled memo, or code a computer program, or speak fluently in 3 of the 6 UN languages. Almost everyone has heard of Steve Jobs. He dropped out of college, but he hung around campus, auditing courses for free and taking lessons in calligraphy. He's famous because he revolutionized not 1, not 2, but 6 modern industries: personal computers, phones, music, digital publishing, animated movies, and tablet computing. A common thread in all his products is beauty and aesthetics. And he attributes that passion to those random lessons in calligraphy he took as a very young man. So yes, all little experiences add up. By the time you become a young professional, by your late 20s, you need to have figured out what you're good at. The one thing, or maybe 2 things, that you're really good at. The philosopher Isaiah Berlin wrote about the fox and the hedgehog. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. Keep enlarging the portfolio of things that you're really good at. 5, be a pragmatic reformer, not a vacuous revolutionary. In Nepal, our leaders talk tall but deliver little. Sooner or later, you get called out for non-action. In our daily lives, we should identify areas for reform and pursue them. It is easy to piggyback on reforms that are already underway. Sometimes small reforms can be transformative. But people who lose from change will resist. As my colleague Michael Wilcock used to say, you must be an anthropologist of your adversaries. Challenge the assumptions and methods of your rivals, but not their intelligence or motivations. Cultivate allies on the inside. Learn to speak different languages to different constituencies. And support your immediate superiors with ideas and evidence, because they should know what you know. Before I was appointed the Vice Chair of the National Planning Commission, I wrote a letter to the Prime Minister making a case for why I deserve to be appointed and the 8 areas where I would work on. When I resigned last month, I briefed the new Prime Minister about the 8 sets of 38 concrete accomplishments. Although I didn't start a revolution and change the world in 6 months, I left satisfied with all the diverse interventions aimed at improving things, some very small and some very big. In all your professional jobs, try hard to earn the respect of peers and gain the confidence of bosses. If some of them show up for your wedding or even funeral, you know you did well. Number 6, don't forget your roots. Seize any opportunity to serve the national interest, but never be sanctimonious. Be grounded, travel the world, but also know Nepal in its full diversity. I was born in a village. The name of the village is Bungkot in Gorkha. I spent most of my childhood in Gorkha, Kathmandu, and Chitwan. At 18, I, along with friends from school, walked on foot from Kathmandu to Hetauda via Kulekhani, tracing the old route to the plains. The same year, I visited Ilam and Japa and wrote about the Bhutanese refugees who had just begun arriving. It's in 1991. After my SLC, I visited towns in Eastern Tarai. 10 years later, I crossed the Mahakali River from the Indian side and traveled on public bus through the Western Tarai. I trekked up to Muktinath from Tukche and saw Bhupi Serchan's ancestral home. And in recent years, I visited remote districts in the far west and Karnali. Each of these trips not only deepened my connections to my own country, but they energized me and informed my worldview. We must give back to our nation in our own way. In this democratic era of globalized interconnectivity, we have to respect personal liberties and choices. You can serve Nepal from within or from abroad. There's no one way of giving back. You can contribute as a free individual or through organized groups. You can start a business, pay taxes, and create jobs. You can join the civil service or even politics. Money is not the most important thing in life, but it is important. You must maintain a degree of financial security. You must earn clean money through honest hard work and save a large chunk of it. The big test at every node of decision making is, would I regret doing this? As a student of economic policy for the last 25 years, I knew that at some phase in my career, I would like to work in government. So when the opportunity came, I took a massive cut in pay and quit a lucrative position in Washington. And that was my way of finding happiness while serving a cause larger than myself. Number 7. There is no shortcut to durable success. We must all try to strike a work-life balance, but work is a virtue. It is not just about paying your bills. It is about self-esteem and dignity. For lasting progress, you have to put in the hours, hard, solid hours. Most successful people appear to go about their professions effortlessly, but this is misleading. Malcolm Gladwell talks about the rule of thumb of about 10,000 hours of practice to master a trade. Bill Gates had thousands of hours of computer programming practice ever since he had access to a computer at 8th grade. By the time he dropped out of Harvard, without getting a degree, he was ready to change the world. In 1960, the Beatles went to Hamburg to sing in pubs. By 1962, they were playing 8 hours per night, 7 nights per